Hello, welcome back to the stream. It's Wednesday and we're trucking along with our refactor. Just playing a little bit of the prototype here. You can definitely see I really wanted to polish and get some of the little hooks in place that make the game kind of attractive, which I think I needed to prove to myself I could do before continuing to pursue the project. So yeah, I think I got it to where I wanted it to be. So now we're getting the code and the systems up to par to expand this out into lots of content in preparation for a demo and then eventually release. So that's where we are now. We probably won't have this day-night cycle in this particular version of the game. One of the things I have told the channel in the past is that the idea here is that this game is kind of like a arcadey action game, some sort of Survivors adjacent a little bit, but probably not going to have a lot of the mechanics of a Survivors game, like all the upgrades and things like that, just because I'm trying to keep it really simple. And the thing that's simple in those games is usually the graphics, and then all the mechanics and upgrades and stuff actually add a lot of complexity and content to the game. So I'm not saying there won't be some updates, but yeah, the Vampire Survivors kind of tweaking probably won't be what I focus on in this, but I do have some of the stuff there, like the experience points and stuff like that. So yeah, and so I didn't even complete my thought, but yeah. So this version of the game is gonna be kind of arcadey, a quick kind of action game focusing on that dash mechanic, and then if it's popular in some fashion, I'm hoping to continue with kind of like a sequel-ish game that's more adventure-y, action adventure-y. So still third-person top-down, most likely, and then but a little bit more kind of RPG elements and quests and things to do, and maybe kind of a little bit more open maps. But I think this game is going to be a little bit more level based. So, but I've been toying around with some like simple objectives and things like that. So you may see some of the adventure game in here, but it's going to be kind of pared down. So yeah, I've almost finished watching Blue-Eyed Samurai. I know it's been taking me a little while to watch it because my family's not watching it with me. So, but I just got to the castle fight and stuff, which is pretty cool. Which I literally, while I was watching it, thought was the finale of the show. But no, there's like 2 more episodes. So yeah, so getting some inspiration from that Netflix show, and maybe you'll see some levels that are based on some of that stuff. So also I had the idea for using that term Unryo, I think it's how you say it, like the vengeful demons. So stay tuned for that too. But I didn't realize it was in the show. It's funny. But yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, so what am I working on right now? Let's see. Okay, so you can see this is far less beautiful. I swear I made the other game too. But this is kind of a white boxing mode. We're not even at the white boxing stage, are we? We're just doing in the time-honored tradition of creating a game in, at least as an indie dev. I don't know if they do it in AAA studios, but I've got beans for my characters, which you can find in the starter content of Unreal Engine. It doesn't come standard in the engine. And what I've been working on this week is getting kind of this health and UI kind of set up, and then also yesterday I added some death states to the enemies, so it's kind of similar to what we're doing in the other prototype, which is we're creating a physics object out of the enemy body and doing stuff, but I actually put the physics bodies to sleep after a while. This one's just going to be live. I can push it around and stuff. Yeah, so I like that it fell over. That's like the first time it fell over. I don't think I can actually, when I dash, I don't know if I'm adding anything to it. Alright. So, yeah, if you kill all of the enemies in the level, and I have them spawning in too, so, okay. It should reset us. Yeah, and it resets. So, yeah, so that's the level manager and the damage system and things like that. So I was thinking, one of the things on my list to do is to gray box a level, which I think I want to do that, but I think it's kind of a block for me. I don't know why level design is such a block. It should be like the most exciting, I guess. But creating level it's like a artistic endeavor. It's hard to get out sometimes, especially with a blank page like this, right? But I want to do a gray box level, but I think one thing that I don't have set up yet is the enemies don't do anything, right? And I don't even think I have them set up to do anything. So if I go into characters to enemies, so we have like they take damage, they die, and that's it. And they have a health component, so that handles their health. So what I'd like to do today is create a way for the enemies to move around, and some sort of just like if they get close to the player, they attack. And I don't know. I think I might just use like a delay for now or something like that. I'm not quite sure. But basically, the way they attack in the prototype is there's like an animation. And the animation has a point where it checks to see if it's hitting the player. And that requires them to be kind of right in the right spot when the animation has gotten to a certain point. So usually it's like the blade is slashing across the player. So yeah, that's what we're doing. So, in the previous version of the game, let's go here. The enemies are using a very, very rudimentary. No, content, no, wrong place. They're using a very rudimentary. AI system, and it's all blueprint based, and I think that's actually one thing I think people maybe don't always realize is that you don't have to go to the behavior tree to do AI. And also there's a new state tree which I have not used it, and I don't know how to use it yet, so I'm probably not going to do it right now. Maybe that's something I would do on camera, but sometimes learning in public and trying to grok something out is maybe a little bit humbling, and then also maybe a little boring for some people. I don't know. But that might be something I can do on a Friday to test it out. But like I was saying, you can make an enemy AI inside Blueprints. It might not be pretty. And the decision making in Blueprints, as people know, eventually gets to become super spaghetti depending on what you're doing. So the AI that we have here is very, very simplistic. So this is an example of an event just for chasing randomly walking around. So it basically checks to see if we're in a chasing player state, and if we're not, we find a location on the map and then we move to it, and then we basically loop over it again if we succeed. So and the reason we do that is because we can interrupt this kind of flow here by toggling this chasing variable on. So basically this is kind of the infinite state of the enemy. And then yeah, so we're using a sensing, which allows you to use this on C. And if you look at the sensing component, it's got this like cone around the enemy. So if they walk into this big cone here, I don't know what the distance is. I think there's a distance somewhere, but it's a very wide open cone. I don't think I even changed it. So, but yeah, if the player walks into it, it's basically says you've been seen, and then I actually give it a weight. So, because maybe I want them to continue patrolling sometimes. So, otherwise, like you just have all the mobs going right after the player, and it's kind of weird looking. They all like kind of queue up and stuff. So this allows kind of some randomness. Not everyone's attacking the player at once, which is kind of like, you know, a kung fu movie or something, or probably a samurai movie too, where, you know, it's when the crowd totally surrounds the enemy and all attacks at once. That's, I mean, no one can defeat that, right? So, so what's happening here is if this random bool is true, then we set it to I don't know what we're doing here actually. This looks weird. Oh yeah, target actor right here. So the pawn is the enemy, and then the target actor is actually the location. So this destination is blank, but that's because this supports two different inputs. So you don't have to set the destination, you can just set the target actor and it will go towards that target actor. And this is kind of like maybe that's what this is. This is kind of like a loop. Like it's going to go and do this for a while. I think that's why the latent, I don't know. Does latent also mean asynchronous? Anyway, this happens. Like you don't have to keep doing it. It will just move to the player. You don't have to call it multiple times, although I think it will get called multiple times. And then it stops on overlap. And then somewhere in here, we actually set that chasing player, but I don't know where that is. Let's look. Because this has to be set, so. Chasing player. Where are you done? That's weird. What? Is it always set to false? Huh. Well, this still works, but I think that was an oversight. This should get toggled in here. And then I wonder what happens if we do it right now. You can see. Okay, so if we AI move, we're chasing the player, and then why isn't it? There we go. All right, so if we succeed or fail, we're just gonna set it to false. All right. So I think the enemies will result in being more aggressive. Yeah. It's almost not noticeable, but see, they chase the player more. I think this crowd here, none of them have succeeded yet because they're still chasing the player and they can't get close enough. So one, that's way more brutal. So one thing to do with that is you have this move, and then maybe you add a timer. you know. Yeah, and then you would probably want to have some sort of gate here as well, so that if the timer went off, then we're not going to just keep sensing it and rolling the dice here. So anyway, yeah, so there's things to keep in mind in our current thing. But that all being said, I think I want to use a behavior tree for the enemies in the kind of main game, because I think it's a little bit more, I think it's a little bit better for managing the state of the enemies and the what the enemies are trying to do, like kind of like that scenario just then. It's not like it doesn't really like solve all the problems, but it will be maybe easier to figure out, or harder, but yeah, so yeah, so it's kind of tough to decide where to put that AI, right? So let's see. I think all the AI should go in the enemies folder, personally, because that's where I would probably look for it in the future. We're going to have a bunch of enemies probably here, so maybe we'll just make a folder called AI, and we will do this. Okay, so to make enemies that have use behavior trees, you need a couple different pieces of the stuff. And yeah, so like any enemy that's based on this, we'll be able to use this AI, and then we could make variations of the AI as well. So, but let's start with that. Okay, so the first thing you need is an AI controller, which I don't think is in here. So just like the player has a controller, there are AI controllers, and everyone gets a default AI controller, but you're gonna have to make your own to implement your behavior tree. So I just give it a prefix of AIC, and then I'm gonna call it, yeah, I'll just call it this. I won't call it enemy base. I don't want to get too confused, but yeah. So here's your enemy thing, and then the next piece, you need two more things for this to work. You need a behavior tree. BT enemy. And I think if you give them all kind of similar names, it some of this like kind of auto wires itself. Okay, and then Blackboard. So we want to call Blackboard underscore enemy. I seem to remember this happening, but I'm not sure if it's true or not. Anyway, they're kind of similarly named, right? Okay, so those are the three things we need, plus you need an enemy that is based on a character class. So it doesn't have to be a character class, but we're going to be using some movement scripts and things like that. So, all right, it's been a while since I've done this, but first thing we need to do is wire up this behavior tree to the enemy. All right, I'm actually looking at the I'm not shy about saying how I use resources, because you cannot keep everything in your head. I actually have a huge document of notes on things, but I have not created a very fleshed out one on behavior trees recently. So this is, I'm looking at, basically they have this behavior tree quick start guide now. The Unreal Engine 5 documents are pretty cool. They got lots of pictures and stuff. So they're going like right in. So they create a folder, They're just using, I think, a third-person character, which is fine. Creating an AI controller. Yeah, so they have similar stuff to me. They're changing the max walk speed for some reason. And then, yeah, so this is the piece where I had to do this. But I think there's something in the AI controller I have to set up too. So anyway, you can find this. It's the behavior tree on Unreal Start Guide if you're interested. All right, so I might be looking at that while I'm doing this, so I might have a hard time reading comments if anyone comments in the channel, but okay. Yeah, so we have our AIC. So yeah, so we can go to our enemy base class here. So this is just the regular one that we've been working on. Go to the pawn. I think we type in controller, we'll find it. Let's see. Yeah, so here is the AI base, or the AI controller class, and right now it's just set to this default one. You can set it to AIC enemy, and that will do what we need it to do. And then in here, this is just like a regular blueprint, so you can run all sorts of stuff on here. I've made AI controllers that basically take input from the behavior tree or whatever, and then trigger you know, weapons and movement and things, just like events that are right on the character. So like you could have one character that does all these things, and instead of having like the player character have built in, so instead of having like the enhanced input here, you could have this just be a turn event, and then on your controller you can have all the actual controls, and then the enemy controller would also do the same thing. It would just say, okay, call turn event when I want to turn. And then it's like you can use all of the same logic, and you can have like a base class that doesn't actually know about external input. And you can share it across the players. So like if I was making like a spaceship game, I probably would do it that way. Like all the spaceships would be the base class, and then figure out a way to get the enemy controller to work with it. So, all right, I'm gonna just look down. Okay, so they're doing all sorts of stuff to get a base set up, but we'll do that in a second. I just want to see. Yeah, this is basically the exact. So this tutorial that they have on here, they actually do a chase player and patrol player, which is exactly what we would want to do. All right, yeah. Okay, so basically we don't need these. We're in the enemy. So to get the behavior tree to work with your character, you need to do event on possess. And so possession can be a player possessing a pawn, or it could just be an AI controller possessing a pawn. All right, so if this gets possessed, then we're going to run the behavior tree. So you have to actually set this up. If you don't do this, then nothing will happen. So I like to do it first. So, all right, and then in here I only have one, and it does nothing. So, all right, and then all right, their behavior tree setup is actually really great. I think people would like to do this. So anyway, I recommend it. I'll just throw it in the comments in the channel here. I don't think these comments show up in the future version of this video though, unfortunately. So, yeah, but, okay, so let's just follow it. I'm going to start working through what they do. So they create an enemy controller, and then we actually don't even have in our test map a volume for nav bounds, I don't think. Actually, all you have to do is if you click on your kind of screen and press P, no nav bounds. That shows you that you have them or not, and where they go. Okay, so we have it here. All right, and one thing to know about nav bounds, they start really small. There's actually a brush setting here that you can make them bigger without expanding the actual thing. So let's make this 1,000. And the basic playing field for the beginning of the game of these empty levels is pretty big. That's 1,000 right there, 1,000 by 1,000. So I think the playing field's more like 10,000 by 10,000. So that's pretty close, actually. I think it might be. It's a little bigger than 10,000 by 10,000. That's fine. And we will set the location of it to centered. Okay. And then the other thing is if you wanted the enemies to go up something, like so this is fine, right? But if you were to add a new cube here, let's go down. Like say we had this, expand it up. So this should actually work. Why isn't it working? This is basically a ramp. So. It's just not even. Okay, so I'm pretty sure that's still inside the nav bounds, but okay. I don't know why. If I do that, it works. Okay, I don't know. It must be above. Okay, so this is exactly what I was trying to demonstrate. So right now I have the nav mesh to be 100, but like you could make it like 300. Okay, so yeah, so see, now it's sort of saying that this is a walkable area. So if you want something that's higher, you have to make sure you have your nav mesh bounds to be as high as you want. So like that. Okay. So I just couldn't see the boxes are all over the place here. So say we had something like this and we wanted to maybe make it so that you could walk up the ramp, right? And so an enemy now could walk up this. So just make sure you're like, don't make them up to the sky unless you have like really high levels and stuff, but yeah, okay. So we have that, we have this. Okay, so in here we have a behavior tree and we want to make one. Okay. Enemies. Okay, so we've added the nav mesh. We have a movement controller. Okay. So let's set up our blackboard. Yeah, so just like we showed in the blueprint style, we want to be able to kind of track our target and figure out how to get them to chase. So we are going to create a key. So we have our self here. We're going to create a new key. and it's going to be target. The other thing about this, if you keep it general, now we'll probably just base it off the player character, but like an exciting thing to do would be to take the AI and say, okay, you're on this team and you're on this team, so maybe we have like some friendly guards that are working for our leader, right? And then when we're fighting the bandits or something, we could have them fight too. So then you could have like your AI fight each other, which would be kind of fun. Okay, so we'll call it target. And I don't think I want it to be an object. I kind of want it to be an actor. Can we make it an actor? Or we have to make it an object first and then base class. Yeah. Let's do actor to start here. Okay. Okay, and I'm not calling it enemy target because I don't want to get confused with it being an enemy or something. I don't know. I'm gonna call it my target. Why not? Okay, so whoever owns this, it's their target. Okay. Now the other thing the tutorial suggests is making a line of sight, which is kind of cool. Let's do it. It's a line of sight. Why not? If they can't see them, we don't want them to attack Boolean. Yep. Okay, and then the final thing, which we have in our other one too, is a vector, and that's going to be patrol location. So this is that random location that we're going to go to, right? Okay. All right. Cool. All right, so we save that. So the Blackboard is just a place where we have like the specific variables for a behavior tree. It can be accessed from like the enemy base class or the controller, I think, and then and the Blackboard. So and the behavior tree. So okay, so now we need a behavior tree. So let's go to that. So this is one of the first things that like really attracted me to Unreal Engine actually, is the behavior tree system. There are some things you can buy, some assets you can buy for Unity to do something similar, but and then I also ended up coding one in C#, really for fun, I guess, but it was kind of like a simple behavior tree, but it had like all the classes that you needed to make one, but then it was all built in code that didn't have this nice GUI. All right, so the first thing we need to do is we need to get the Blackboard added to our so let's see, how do we get it? Oh, so here we go. So see how it automatically connected? So that's cool, right? Okay, and then, so this root is kind of where we start, and then there's a bunch of different things you can do to kind of make some decisions. So the first thing you do is you pull out here like this, and then if you want to have like a sequence of things, you can start with that. But a selector is kind of where you make your choice. And so what a selector is going to do is it's going to check the first one, and then if that fails, do the next one, do the next one. Okay, so so the tutorial has you actually rename this from selector to something useful, I guess. So it's calling it the AI root. I don't know if I like that term since there's already a root, but and then they pull off and they're creating a sequence. So the sequence is just going to do everything in an order, and it's not, I mean, you can have selectors inside a sequence, but basically if this fails, the selector reevaluates, and I think it goes to the next one is kind of how it works here. So, but it's going to try this one first. And then this sequence we're going to call chase player. Okay. And then we will, let's see. Yeah, they're going to kind of do very similar to what we're going to do. And then we'll do patrol here. So if we can't chase the player, we're going to patrol. Oh, there is no route for patrol. We got to do a sequence again. And we'll rename it patrol. Okay. All right. All right, and then the other thing it's going to do is, if all of these things, I guess, fail, we're going to wait. So you can actually set up a kind of pause. These things, I don't know, they might result in like the enemies just like sitting there though, so we'll see. And then we'll do a wait for 1 second. Okay, so there are some built-in scripts, and I actually have a YouTube video about creating kind of like my own version of some of these, but there is a rotate script. Rotate to face BB entry, and that will target whatever your target is. So it's looking into the blackboard to see, and then over here we have our blackboard key, and we can select my target. So that will turn the enemy to face the target. Now we won't be able to see this in our current enemy because we don't actually show this arrow, right? We can just show this arrow. Let's clear that. And why not make it not hidden? Okay. So then when we're playing, we'll see. So right now it's not really running the behavior tree, but he's facing one way. Okay. Stop. So I don't know. I mean, this should actually probably work, but I don't know. Let's see. So we have our target here, but we don't have a target set, so that's why. Okay. So we want to find, rotate to face our target. Okay, so they get a little bit more complicated. They start adding tasks in here and stuff that are like custom, but I just want to see if I can demo. There is a move to. And then you can move to your target. So the only thing that's missing in here is we don't have a way to set the target, right? And then our patrol, we could probably do the same things here, right? Like rotate to face BB entry, and then in here we want to do patrol location, and then move to. I just want to see if this kind of works. Okay, and then we want to move to the patrol. Okay, so the only thing that we're missing now is we don't have a check here, so it's just going to always chase the player probably. There's no reason for this to fail per se, except that we don't have a target, I guess. And then patrol, same thing. So we need something. We need something to I'm just reading what they do in the custom events they created. So I think they literally just update the walk speed in the chase thing, and that's it. And then yeah, I can put this over here. So yeah, so I'm just looking at this BT chase player and like what it was they implemented, and literally it's just updating the walk speed. So I'm going to skip it for now. What I'm interested in is the how they set up the find. Yeah, like this patrol is actually way more in depth actually. So like it uses the get within reachable incident radius, which is exactly what we do in ours as well. It's right here. So we do all that. So you can take all this logic that you would implement in a blueprint and then put it in a behavior tree task and do it. So yeah, so that's what's happening here, which is fine. I'm actually gonna try to just implement chasing player in the last 15 minutes before all right, so we did that piece. It's always interesting to see how different tutorials get around the like casting to that, base class or something. So this one just uses a tag, which is a good idea. So there's a line of sight timer. Start enemy timer. All right, it's very, very thorough. Okay, so I'm pretty sure this all gets done on the character. Okay, so this is on the AI controller. We did that. Now it's putting it in the it seems like they're putting the perception on the controller itself instead of on the character, maybe. Detect neural flag to detect the player as an alternative. Character is the player and force the AI to only chase actors tagged as player. Okay. Okay, I guess we have, I guess because we're inside the controller, we're we're doing some of this stuff. So we don't even care that see, they don't even open the blueprint. Well, that's for the player, I guess. Okay. All right. Let's go. All right, so this is not going to work until we set our target. So let's do that. Okay, so in here, it has these two things, a path following component, which is interesting. I don't know what that, I've never seen this before. Well, I've never used it. I wonder what it does. It obviously follows paths, but what paths? Okay, and then an actions component. So there's some things here that might be interesting. Okay, anyway, we're gonna add a sensing. Pawn sensing. And one thing, I was having a conversation on Discord about pawn sensing, and it's not as updatable as the, there's a, oh wait, no, maybe it's not pawn sensing. There's another version of sensing that is, you can't update it at runtime or something, so. Actually, I don't know if I need this. I just need pawn, what is it, C player or something like that? Let's see. What did I call it in the other one? Random control on C pawn. Isn't that what I'm doing? Or is this a different thing? Okay. Yeah. On C pawn. Why does it have only noise emitter in here? Do I have to add stuff? Let's see. C pawns, yes. Okay, so I think I did the wrong one, which is right. Okay. So yeah, so this one is the one that you can modify in runtime, but it's not how we're gonna do it. Okay, so we're gonna add an AI perception. Okay, and then in here, in this thing, we can add senses. So we can add a site config, and we're going to make site our primary sense, okay? And then you can open this up and there's more stuff in it. So site radius, lose site radius. So this is a lot more in depth than the pawn sensing one. And then I guess there's something in here that they're flagging as you have to detect neutrals. Because probably the player is a neutral player. Yeah, so this by default everyone is a neutral unless you set their affiliation up. So, and according to the notes, you can't actually set affiliation in Blueprint, which is kind of crazy. That'd be an interesting thing to figure out, like a reason to use C++. Okay. All right. That's all they care about in here. And then we should be able to find on target perception updated. Okay. And then apparently there's a bunch of events down here too. So if you don't know what to find. Okay. So let's do this one. And then if the actor has a tag, this is one way to get around the casting. All right, and then we'll have a branch for that. We found him. Okay. Break AI stimulus. This gives you the object, and there's a whole bunch of stuff in here. So you could really probably do a full stealth mechanic with all this stuff. Age, strength, stimulus. So, but we have detected. So let's do that, and that. What's weird about this is, I guess this triggers, but doesn't always trigger when something has been sensed, I guess. So you need that check. All right. All right, and then they have a timer event for line of sight. Tear the handle. The handle can be called upon to invalidate it and clear it. We can use this later as an event. The AI sees the player again before the line of sight time runs out, which stops the player from, or the enemy from losing sight and giving up the chase. Trying to understand the functionality of the timer, but I'm gonna skip the timer just to just to implement this and see. I don't know what the timer does, so I can't tell if it's like trying to keep the enemy chasing or if it's trying to like give you some time, like you can hide or something like that. So all right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to get the blackboard. Use blackboard, get blackboard. I think it's get blackboard. So this is not what is this one? No, that's the one we set. So do we, maybe we just need to, I don't know if this is different in 5.4, but if I do get blackboard. Oh, okay. I don't know why was it showing something different? Okay. All right, I want to do that. I'm going to set value as bool. This is one of the things that's kind of weird about blackboards is you don't have any, like, you don't know what's in here unless you go back to the blackboard. Like, you can't just grab your variables from the blackboard. And then we want to set value of, oops, I guess it's object, right? So like we have very limited kind of stuff here. Okay. All right, and then we need the key names. All right, so promote this to a variable, call it as line of sight. And promote this one to a variable and call it my target. Right, those are our blackboards here. I guess it's capital my target and all caps line of sight. Let's go back to that. Oh, I guess well, I'm gonna change it just case. Okay. I think I have to type them in here too. Okay. Yeah. This is a boolean though. Well, I guess it's a string. Okay. Line of sight. So it's a little bit connecty. My target. And just make sure these are correct, I think, is the trick. My target has line of sight, so okay. Okay, and then so they basically say if you sense them, we're going to clear and evaluate that timer. Clear the line of sight until it loses sight of the player gate, where a new line of sight timer will start. What? Anyway, I don't know why they're doing this logic. It's actually kind of confusing to me. Okay. Maybe I'll eventually create something similar. And then it sets the line of sight stuff again. All right, we're just gonna do it and see what happens. All right, and then this object can be this actor. Okay. It's a little bit crazy in here. All right, if I can get this thing to chase, that would be wonderful. Let's see. I don't know if I will. All right. Okay, the other thing it does, which is actually, I wrote a tutorial about this, I'm pretty sure, in the enemy character blueprint, in the details, under rotation, under pawn, maybe, yeah. Use controller rotation, yeah, is already clicked, so, okay. That's needed for that behavior tree call. And then, okay. Somehow I think this might work like right away, but I kind of want to see if it does, because now we've got this sensing stuff on it, and then let's just see. Okay, this guy is not sensing anything. Okay, we might have to modify the AI real quick. Let's see. There's so much stuff in these characters. Okay. Collision. Like, we might not be getting possessed right away, so that'd be why I think it's not moving. But it also could just be that I haven't figured it out completely, built out the behavior tree yet, so let's just see though. Alright, we got our rotation rate. No, that's done. Pawn, okay. Auto possess player. Okay, we don't want that. Auto possess AI, possessing the world. So when we want it to be placed in the world or spawned, because we're spawning these stuff, right? Okay, let's see. Come on, do something. All right, it's still not doing anything. I just want to see. Okay, I'm gonna do selected viewport. What I want to see is, we're here now. Okay. Now if we pause the game and look at the enemy base 0, right? That would be probably this guy. And we have a AI controller right here. We have an enemy base. So, and the enemy base should be using the AI controller right here, right? If you look at the controller, we have a behavior tree, we've got the pawn actions component. It's called the brain. Does it actually know that it's using a behavior tree? I don't know. Okay, that's fine. Character movement controller. So it has a perception thing. Oh, the player doesn't have a tag, that's why. Okay, maybe. Anyway, here's your pawn, here's your character. So it knows that it's connected to this guy. Okay, let's, that was one step we did not do, which is we didn't tag the player. So it's possible that we're not getting tagged. Okay, so somewhere in here is a tag. I don't know where. Okay, let's just type tag and see what we can put. Yeah, component tags, mesh tags, actor tags. I think we gotta put it here. Okay, we'll just call it player. Yeah, tagging was like a big thing for me in Unity. I don't know if it's something everyone uses in oh, look at that. I gotta get away. Okay. Now if I kill the enemy, do they stop moving? Let's see if he goes up this thing. Hey, there's 2 of them now. Look at that, they're smart. So this guy can't sense me because I'm doing a stealth attack, see? But if I go in front of him, ah! So, you know how we set that rotation, right? And it's like very janky. I have a whole YouTube video about how to make it not do what they're doing right there. So there is a way to make them kind of interpolate their turn so they're not like So that's gonna look really dumb with. Okay, did I kill that guy, or why is he? Oh, he must be dead. I've killed them. Okay, so actually killing them works too. All right, awesome. Okay, so we have the basics for our AI chasing the player, and that's fine. I might explore that timer thing because we do want to have a timer to make it so that they can't just always follow the player, right? And I do have a project where I kind of work on that, although I don't know if I have it in a behavior tree. So, but yeah, we could have like a timeout on this, because once you do lose line of sight, then you can set it up to like go to the last time we saw the player. That's kind of, I think, what I've done in the past, and then give up if we don't find them. I don't know how important that is for this action game, really. But it's more natural if they can't just like Terminator chase the player all the time. So the next step would be to make this patrol, which we'll probably do tomorrow, and then maybe we can do some sort of rudimentary attack where, like, if you're just next to the enemy for a second or something, so like if they surround the thing, we'll just cause damage to the player. And then if we can get that done quickly tomorrow, since we're not jumbling around trying to figure out how behavior trees work again, I would like to gray box out like a little valley or something that we can go through. that's gonna be cubes and stuff, but it'd be interesting to see geometry and have the enemies like move around. Maybe we can have some height variation. I don't know. It's a little challenging from the. This is actually probably. I don't know if this is actually the. This might be the camera angle that the other version of the game is in. Let's see. I may have set it all to the proper angles of this one, but it's similar. One of the things that so this is really good for kind of like being able to see like what's going on, but not necessarily like good for the mouse clicking and stuff, or seeing like where people are ahead. So we might change that. I don't know. Also check out this flat shaded version. Tell me if you like it in the comments. This is just, I basically just made the whole thing unlit. I actually really like this style. This is kind of a style that I've been thinking about creating. Oh, my guy died. Okay. But I don't know if it would play well in the market, you know? So. But this would be the style that my studio would try to do, I think. Because I am capable of creating this style of art. I actually really like how the 3D trees became these, like, just, it looks like MS Paint. Mm-hmm. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. And we'll continue the prototyping tomorrow. Alright, thanks a lot for tuning in. And